Hello and welcome to Fiorano webinars. I'm Abhishek and I'll be the moderator for this event today. Core banking integration enables quick launch of mobile banking product and much more. Here today we have with us Sienko Ikhabi, the Business Development and Business Intelligence Manager at Commercial Bank of Africa, Kenya. John Schlesinger, Chief Architect at Temenos and Chief Technology Officer of Fiorano, Atul Saini. Thank you all for joining. The agenda for today is Sienko Ikhabi of CBA will talk about Fiorano use case and how CBA benefited from it. John Schlesinger of Temenos will discuss the ease with which Temenos core banking systems are integrated with third-party systems. And then Atul Saini will talk about some benefits of Fiorano integration solutions. With that, I would like to pass the ball on to Sienko.
Hello everyone, welcome to the webinar. I'm just going to give a brief use case for how CBA used Fiorano to launch a mobile banking product that integrated to the Temenos core banking system. First of all, I'll give you a brief of CBA. CBA is a privately owned commercial bank operating in East Africa. It was founded in 1962 and is headquartered in Kenya. CBA also operates in Tanzania and Uganda and has over 28 branches in the three countries. Last year, CBA partnered with Safaricom, a local telco company that is a member of the Vodafone Group, to launch a banking product on mobile called M-Shwari. M-Shwari was a game-changing product for CBA, and the partnership with the Safaricom provided CBA access to the Safaricom customer base, which is around 17 million subscribers using Safaricom's M-Pesa mobile money service. Some of the challenges that CBA encountered while doing this project, I'll just go briefly through some of them and then explain how Fiorano helped CBA overcome these challenges. The launch for M-Shwari was required in just 3 to 5 weeks from the date of conceptualization. Most of the core banking workflows had already been developed, and the whole point of the M-Shwari product was to eliminate customers requiring to physically access a branch and be able to access the service through their mobile phone. The already developed workflows within the core banking system, that's Temenos T24, was required to be exposed to other third-party systems, mainly the mobile money transfer system that is run by Safaricom for the M-Pesa service. This integration was the one which was required to deliver transactions from Safaricom servers, which are hosted by Vodafone, to CBA's core banking servers. Some of the challenges which CBA encountered when doing these projects were enabling the workflows within the core banking to be exposed as web services for the partners, Safaricom, to access. And this was something that required different hardware and software as well as consulting efforts that needed to be brought together to offer a unified solution. There was also the challenge of being able to deal with the target market that is 17 million mobile subscribers and growing. The solution that CBA went for is to use Fiorano's ESB and SOA platform to do the integration between Safaricom's systems as well as other third-party systems into the CBA's core banking platform. Some of the Fiorano products that were used were the Fiorano ESB, and SOA platform, the Fiorano's peer-to-peer architecture, and these services, as I had earlier explained, were exposed as web services to our partners. The Fiorano MQ is used to provide messaging internally within the Fiorano platform. There are two main service flows that have been developed within the solution for M-Shwari for CBA. One is a synchronous workflow that provides an immediate response to transaction requests from our partners. These are transactions like account deposits or withdrawals. Then there is also an asynchronous flow which provides a more fault-tolerant and scalable solution that is used to perform some of the long-standing transactions like account activation and loan requests and disbursement. This slide just shows a brief overview of the architecture of the solution that CBA has deployed. On one hand, we have Safaricom and Vodafone, our partners, who provide customers, the customer-facing mobile platform for customers to do account statements, account activations, statement requests, pay loans, do withdrawals, apply for loans, and also opt into the product by activating their accounts. These messages are routed through the Fiorano SOA platform and internally translated to a T24 adapter that is hosted within the Fiorano platform, and then this T24 adapter delivers those messages to the core banking system T24, which then does the actual execution of the transaction, and then the response is sent out through the T24 inbound adapter to the Fiorano ESB platform, and then the response is sent back to our partners again through a VPN over a web service. Why did CBA choose Fiorano? Now, the first main reason, which I had already alluded to in my previous slides, is the requirement to be able to quickly launch this product. The coding within the core banking platform had already been done and tested, and what was missing was the partner-facing application, which is where Fiorano came in and provided a web service that routes these requests to the T24 adapters, which then pass the messages to the core banking systems to consume the workflow that had already been developed and the routines that had already been developed within T24. Now, the integration was effortless. The developers who worked on this project actually had used other SOA platforms but had not used Fiorano, but it was possible to do an effortless integration with Fiorano within the required time frame. The environment itself is zero coding. There's very little coding that was required because most of the transformations are automatically handled by the Fiorano platform. The other reason, which is actually critical, why Fiorano was chosen over any other ESP, is the fact that Fiorano had T24 adapters that allowed CBA to integrate with the T24. Because of the high availability requirements for our solution, it's a 24/7 solution. Fiorano was also chosen because it's easily scalable. We actually use it on a multi-server environment to provide for high availability. The interface is also very user-friendly in terms of development, as well as our service desk and support and monitoring tools are very easy to use. The results. Now, within the first few days, CBA was able to do an average of 40,000 sign-ups every day and process over 1 billion shillings worth of transactions within the first few months of launch. we still have access and a target to acquire the 15 to 17 million customers that are on Safaricom's M-Pesa to enroll to the M-Shwari service. After this success, CBA is also looking to expand the M-Shwari service to other countries using the Fiorano SOA platform. And now I'll pass on the ball to John Schlesinger of Temenos to tell you about Fiorano's T24 integration options.
Yes, John, you have the ball now. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you very much, Abhishek. Thank you, Atul. So my name is John Schlesinger. I'm the Chief Enterprise Architect for Temenos. We are a banking software company. So we provide the banking capability that CBA Kenya uses to satisfy the M-Shwari M-Pesa request. So when we install our application for core banking at a bank, typically about 40% of the implementation effort now is involved in doing the interfacing. So whereas when we first started installing the software, it would be 5 or 6 interfaces, we're now at 50 or 60 interfaces. And for some of the bigger banks, we're talking about 300 interfaces to the core banking platform. So a very large part of the implementation of the banking platform is interfacing. So 2 years ago, we started on a new approach to integration, where instead of doing data extracts at end of day, we would use real-time messaging for doing the integration between T24 and other systems. And we knew we'd need a partner for the out-of-the-box solution, and we chose Fiorano to be that partner. Although we do support IBM, Oracle, and Microsoft platforms, for our out-of-the-box platform and the solution we recommend to customers who have no other preference, we chose the Fiorano solution. So the integration challenges are about what we call the semantics of the integration. So if we send a message from T24 to the M-Pesa gateway, the problem that the integration consultant has is mainly about making sure that the right part of the T24 message goes to the right part of the M-Pesa interface. And that is a semantic problem. And that is the problem of incompatible data formats at the source and target. But also, financial transactions don't usually go to just one place. They have side effects in multiple different parts of the bank. So being able to send the message to more than one place in more than one format is also very important. Those are both problems that are solved by this approach that we took with CBA Kenya and the Fiorano solution. Let's say a little bit about Temenos. We've been around for since 1993. We are the leading core banking software vendor in the world. We are in the leading quadrant in Gartner and in the Forrester Wave. And IBS have declared us to be the leading banking solution for, as it says there, for over 10 years. What we're very proud of is that banks that use our software have a lower cost to income ratio and are more profitable than their peers. So using our banking software makes banks more profitable, and that's because banks typically spend up to 20% of their costs on IT. So we are in the business of making banks more profitable. I mentioned before that we started 2 years ago with developing the integration framework. So this is an event-driven approach to integration. The idea is that a business transaction is a business event, and that can be represented as a message. So our integration framework is about presenting those events as they occur to the Fiorano Enterprise Service Bus, so that the Fiorano Enterprise Service Bus can transform them and route them to all the destinations those messages need to go to. So that supports the many-to-many integration between different aspects of the bank's information system. Because we're doing this in near real time, it means that the system can react to change, the bank's overall information system can react to change immediately, not wait till end of day. And because we're doing all this data movement during the day, not at the end of day, we greatly increase the flexibility and reduce the cost of running the bank. But going from an end-of-day approach to a near real-time approach, using asynchronous messaging with Fiorano, increases efficiency, reduces costs, and greatly improves flexibility. As Atul mentioned before, the essential aspect of this is that we've written with Fiorano a specific T24 adapter. So the T24 adapter runs both at design time and at runtime. At design time, the T24 adapter can introspect the T24 system and pick up all the interfaces available from that system. So the user can search T24 at design time, find the event or system interface they want, and then we download to Fiorano the XSD describing that interface. So that can either be an event, a message that's sent in when a transaction occurs, or for getting stuff out of T24 for being triggered, or it can be an interface where you put something into T24 or get more information. And all of that is available through the custom adapter. And the only way to get at the introspection is through the custom adapter. Then at runtime, the adapter polls our event table and can pick up new events and develop and send messages to other systems in near real time shortly after the events have occurred. So that's the way that we notify external systems of business events that occur in T24. This works, as Atul said, both ways. We can poll T24 for events, and we can also be triggered by an external event and use that to put an event into T24. So business events can start in T24 and go out to M-Pesa, or they can start in M-Pesa and come into T24. Because this is all asynchronous, it's extremely scalable. If the business events were synchronous, this wouldn't scale nearly as well. And that turned out to be crucial because the CBA Kenya found that the take-up of their offering was about 5 times greater than they expected. If we hadn't scaled, we would have been a bottleneck, and that would have stopped the service growing. As it was, we didn't stop the service growing, and the middleware scaled beautifully up to millions of messages a day. So in short, it would have been impossible for CBA to have implemented this interface in the timescales they wanted. And had they not implemented in the timescales they wanted, they would probably have missed the boat on becoming the de facto provider of these services in Kenya. The CIO at CBA told me that without this partnership between Temenos and Fiorano, he thinks the integration, the whole service would have been impossible to launch. So reducing the integration time by 80% is almost beside the point. This was the difference between the interface being feasible or not feasible. This slide is a diagram of how the integration works. So the red bit in the middle is our product, T24, and when a transaction commits, which is item 1 in the middle, you can see that we update an interface table with the event. At this point, we can run a flow to put any significant data into the event. So, for example, if you need to know the balances at the time of the transaction, we can put those into the event. And this is all done as part of the business transaction. So you get a consistent snapshot of data at the time of the event. We offer two possibilities for getting the events out of the interface table. On the left, 2A is an event delivery service, and that is for banks that don't have a custom adapter. On the right, 2B is the way we work with Fiorano, where we've written a custom adapter, and the adapter polls the interface table. So that means that a flow is triggered in Fiorano, and that flow is given the data from the interface table, and that's all done without any code. That's all done codelessly. So then a flow runs in the Fiorano middleware that transforms the message and routes it to the appropriate destination. So those are the three stages. Stage one, a transaction commits and triggers an event in the interface table. Two, the Fiorano adapter picks up that event and triggers a flow. And three, that flow runs in Fiorano ESB and sends a message to another destination or one or more destinations. So the partnership of T24 and our integration framework with the Fiorano middleware provides a seamless code-free integration for our customers and Fiorano's customers. We have an out-of-the-box integration solution which offers extremely attractive capability to the banks, vastly exceeding the capability we offered them before we had the integration framework and before we had the partnership. As important as the product is the deal, so we offer extremely flexible commercial offering, commercial terms to the banks, making it possible then to do integration at much lower cost. And as we proved at CBA, the team set up between CBA, Temenos and Fiorano developed the solution in record time with great reliability, great quality, and we at Temenos are extremely happy with our partnership with Fiorano for integration. So I'm now going to hand back over to Atul, who will take you through why Fiorano.
Of the asynchronous platform. So just to go over some of the main issues and benefits again, the key aspect is not just the asynchronous nature of the Fiorano platform, but also the fact that it's built on a peer-to-peer architecture that scales very linearly. So you can add computational resources very easily. Most systems have a hub and spoke architecture. And if you want to scale, you need to add another full hub, which is a very expensive proposition. So the peer-to-peer nature of the platform makes a significant difference. Just to go over some of the simple technical features, the interface is just a single interface, so the learning curve is very shallow. It is wide, but it is quite shallow. There are full audit trails among many other technical features to support for guaranteed message delivery, code-free adapters. We've already gone over the scalability benefits, etc. And that's what makes the system much more agile. For mobile integration, there's a comprehensive set of adapters for financial systems, such as Fix, Swift, etc. There's real-time as well as batch processing, adapters to other middleware platforms such as MQ series and even TIBCO. Significant security protocol implementation so that you have a very secure, especially in a B2B context. Fiorano has a new B2B platform as well. Error handling. So there are lots of technical features which can be discussed offline actually if there's interest on our website. So what can you do with Fiorano? You can bring new channels up very quickly launch new products quickly, which is the whole idea, to get competitive advantage. Business managers can actually get a view of the business processes, and while they may not be able to alter them themselves, it's very easy for them to understand what the process does and to make changes by suggesting changes to their technical people. Customization is very, very easy and quick. You can change one part of your integration system without affecting other running parts because of the asynchronous nature of the system. Now migrate to the next generation of service-oriented solutions, which are essentially based in fully asynchronous core. Although all vendors are going to claim that they can do asynchronous computing, the fact is that the core tools are very synchronous. So to get asynchronicity into their systems, you have to spend a tremendous amount of effort, programming effort each time, because the systems don't support asynchronicity natively. They just give you a JMS server, you've got to program everything from scratch. So although the products all look the same from an interface standpoint, they are not really the same. This is very important to understand. So you can scale and most important point is, especially in the banking world, as you add more users, you're going to have to scale very linearly. And that can only happen with an asynchronous peer-to-peer platform. Just to give you a very quick overview of Fiorano, the company was founded in 1995. It's been around for a while. The products are significantly tested and very mature. It's a California company with a global presence, and has helped many leading banks innovate their core banking systems. These are some of the examples of the institutions that use Fiorano. And I think that with that, we can open it up to questions. I believe, Abhishek, we can open it up for questions now.
Yes, you can all type in your questions at the Q&A box available at the bottom right-hand side of your screen. I can see that some of you have already typed in your questions. I will read these questions out and the respective panelists will answer them to you. So the first question is, what are the key differentiators of Fiorano vis-a-vis the other vendors? Atul, would you like to talk about this question?
I think why don't we let Sienko answer some of it, because they use the platform rather than Fiorano talk about it. Sienko, you want to take a shot at that?
Yes, I think for us it's been mentioned, I believe, by Atul and John as well. The main differentiator is actually the ease of use and enabling codeless integration. We were able to apply Fiorano in our environment in a relatively short time, and although this tool had been recommended to us by Temenos, our developers were able to get up to speed quickly and be able to do the development in the short time frame that we had. The other thing is, which I would say is a big differentiator for Fiorano, is there was a lot of help that we got from Fiorano themselves with an architect on site, which I think if we had, we would have struggled with the other vendors, because we've used other integration platforms before, and the help you get from the vendor is not that easy. Thank you, Sienko. So the next question is, how easily can we replace already existing interface without disrupting operations of the bank? John, I think you would be the best person to answer this.
Okay, so I think there are two different cases here. One case is where you already have event-driven architecture, and you want to move from one middleware technology to another. And I think that's relatively straightforward, so long as you've isolated the endpoints properly, which is always the best practice at banks. The second case is where you are moving from doing your interfaces at end of day to doing them in near real time. So in that case, you have to develop the new interfaces and decommission the old ones. And I think this is much more compelling because you accrue all these benefits that we mentioned during the call. You get near real time instead of having to wait till the next day. You get the ability to fan out the message to multiple destinations, so you do much less work. And you reduce your close of business processing, so you give yourself back time at end of day for getting your close of business done. So I think it's very easy to move from written end of day batch interfaces to near real time asynchronous interfaces. I think moving from one ESB to another is a bigger problem and has less benefit. So you'd only do that if there was a compelling reason to do it.
Thank you, John. So another next question is it visual configuration like drag and drop?
Yes, it is, very much so, always has been. Not only that, but the visual configuration, all systems will give you visual configuration, but Fiorano's visual configuration is natively asynchronous. That means that when I connect one object on a screen to the other, that connection is an asynchronous message queue automatically. There's no synchronous centralized server with some kind of DEPL type language that's doing all sorts of weird things. It's just message queuing. It's as if you natively implemented all the message queues yourself. It's just that Fiorano does it for you on the fly. So that makes a massive difference. Once you understand this, you realize that it makes a lot of difference. Unfortunately, when you're looking at other ESPs, the sales guys will tell you, they'll draw line A to B and say, that's a message queue. It isn't. This is the whole point. You look at this A, arrow B. That arrow means something very different in this talk than it does in Fiorano. This is a very critical and important point to understand. The semantics of the arrows, when they are synchronous, BPEL style semantics, they result in a very difficult synchronous integration, which takes a tremendous amount of time to debug, and that's why integration takes 6 to 8 months with 50 programmers. That's the problem.
Thank you, Atul. Let's move on to the next question. So, Quadus asks, as our bank is trying to implement off mobile, does this mean that we do require some kind of middleware? What is the implication of this middleware on the hardware requirement? John?
So yes, if you do asynchronous message passing during the day, you will need to install some extra middleware, which is the Fiorano ESB. But the amount of work you do in total will probably go down. Because what happens when you run Fiorano is as soon as the event occurs, the event table is updated, and then Fiorano distributes the message. If instead you run a close of business process, then you may find that you're reading the database time and time again for the same information for different point-to-point interfaces. So I believe that overall you do more work doing the batch end-of-day interfaces. So the overall hardware requirement is greater doing interfaces the old way than is doing it the Fiorano way. But of course, what we're doing is we're having a more efficient overall system, but we're doing that by having more intelligent software. So you pay for the Fiorano ESD and its support, but that results in you having an overall reduction in the amount of processing you do in total.
Thanks, John. I think there's another question for you. Does it have a library of all T24 APIs, and can they expose these as web services?
Yes, is the answer. So the way it works is that when you bring up the Fiorano design tool, which is written to run in Eclipse, the design tool uses the adapter to go to the T24 system and list all the available interfaces. So those interfaces include all the events you've configured. They include all the versions and inquiries that you've configured, all the applications that we supplied and their interfaces, all the components that we've supplied, and all the batch jobs, TSA services that have been configured. So every single interface to Temenos T24 is exposed via that introspection. So you can add new versions, you can add new inquiries, you can add new services, and you can introduce your own components even. They will all turn up dynamically with that introspection. Now there is Temenos Web Services available, so you can turn any version or inquiry into a Temenos Web Service. But if you use Temenos Web Services, it's a raw web service. As Atul described, if you use Fiorano, you can expose any T24 interface as a web service through Fiorano, and you can use the Fiorano flows to enrich those web services. So you have a choice for a web service in T24, either use TWS or use Fiorano. But for event-driven, Fiorano is the only solution, unless you use other BSP.
Thanks, John. We have a lot of questions flowing in. So we'll move on to the next question. Is the product fully plug and play to T24, or does it require some customization on the T24 installation side?
Plug and play.
Absolutely plug and play, yeah.
The next question is Fiorano solution viewed as replacement for T24 inward-outward delivery module? And if so, do Temenos plan to decompose delivery from related modules?
Okay, that's a very good question. So delivery is specific to payment formats like Swift, Unify, and ISO 8583. And we have an intention of replacing delivery with the integration framework by supporting those interfaces in our model bank using Fiorano. So the aim is, yes, replace delivery with Fiorano or the IBM, Microsoft, and IBM ESBs in the future. But that work has not yet been done. We're still working on that in Model Bank.
Thanks, John. The next question will be, is Fiorano solution viewed as replacement for T24? We already did that. Sorry, the next question is, as the testing time is said to be only 3 weeks, what kind of tests did you do to be able to certify that it is okay to go live? Did you have multiple product types defined? Is there a possibility of launching a particular product once and then continue introducing products and hence do a testing whenever we do that? Sienko?
Okay, I think actually the question is in two parts, so I'll probably start with the first one.
Yeah.
The product that we did in the first phase was a simple product. There were about 6 web service operations that mapped to corresponding operations in T24. So with that, and this versions in T24 had already been tested. And actually John had touched on this before when he was talking of TWS. We had the option of going with TWS, but the interface in terms of the web service definition language, WSDL, that was agreed between ourselves and our partner was it did fit within the TWS framework. So we were more or less changing how the services are exposed rather than the internal functionality within T24. So I think that answers the question in terms of testing. The tests were more related to the new exposed web services rather than the core functionalities within T24. Now, to answer the second part, we actually are continuing to add more products and services to these web service, and in fact, as we speak, we are currently doing the second phase of development of the product, and this will still be delivered through the Fiorano ESP.
Thank you, Sienko. The next question is, could you please answer if there is any Fiorano solution for mobile banking?
Fiorano is an integration platform. So Fiorano can be used to integrate an existing mobile banking solution with a core banking platform. Typically, the integration points are web services, or they could really be, a piece of any program. It could be a file, it could be a web service, it could be an API. Fiorano provides multiple options for integration and multiple interfaces. You can write an interface, custom write an interface in Java, C++, or C# or even a script, and connect systems together. So Fiorano does not by itself offer a mobile solution or mobile banking solution, the core functionality, but we can integrate any mobile banking solution with a core banking platform.
Thank you, Atul. Looks like we are almost towards the end of the session, except for one last question. How can one partner with Fiorano to be implementing the solution in West Africa? Atul?
We have a team that works in West Africa. It's a very active region for us. So the idea is simply get in touch with this team, and for that, it's best to get in touch with business development at Fiorano and understand what the options are. Whether you're looking, it depends on whether the person asking the question is an end user or a reseller or a partner, and there are options for all three. So it is a very key area of focus for Fiorano, whether it's all of Africa, and then West Africa definitely is a core focus area because it's a very fast-growing part of the world.
Thank you, Atul. Thank you all for your questions. I know we might have missed some questions. Unfortunately, we're running out of time. Our sales representatives will get in touch with you for any further clarification. Alternatively, you can also email us at sales@fiorano.com if you want your screen, or you can call us on the numbers displayed on the screen.
Or send the additional questions directly to Abhishek. Abhishek, you can send your email address to everybody, and let's get back to you, and we can answer the questions offline.
Yes, we can do that too.
All right?
All right. Thank you all for attending and making this a success. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Thanks, Sienko. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, Atul.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.